We are live. Okay, we are here on March 10th, 2021, a year that the past year we're celebrating, if you want to say, COVID, and hopefully we're getting on the backside of it, and these good-looking gentlemen here are proof of that. We are joined today by Rod Hewitt and Jeff English and myself, Greg O'Sullivan, behind the camera. And we are first going to ask, and you could just simply shake your head or say yes as I pan the group. Do we have your permission to videotape and use this videotape as part of our library for the Historical Museum Society?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Okay, there we go. Okay, because we have such a large group today, we're going to start off and we're going to ask a series of questions to each individual person, and then we'll get into the group part. So we're going to start off with Bruno Martinelli. So Bruno, you're on. Can you?
Okay. Exactly what you want me to start from the time I came from Italy?
Okay, just introduce yourself.
Okay. All right. My name is Bruno Martinelli.
Where were you born, Bruno?
In Posina, Italy, north of the Boot.
And what year?
I came here with the oldest sister and moved here to Templeton and been here since 1999. But, okay, let me back up.
Yeah,
A little bit before that.
When we got here, I was 12 years old, just a kid from Europe and didn't know anything about anything. And my stepdad, he, I forgot the word. He adopted us.
Okay.
Okay. Unfortunately, he passed away about a month or a month and a half after we got here.
Wow.
So at that time, it was just my mom, my older sister, myself, and the young sister. And we had the property with nobody to guide us. So we didn't know what we were going to do.
Where was the property?
The property was on Ridge Road. It's called Bumblebee now.
Okay.
Okay. It was 12 acres. Most of it was in grapes. And trying to deal with the changes that we had to go through. Well, we lucked out. Because after a while, we had my stepdad's friends that actually came into the picture. And they actually started showing us what to do on the property. Okay? My dad had a winery, but he got rid of it before we got here. And again, he was very well known as far as gambling. So he was gambling in the Tascadero. He finally got a bar and a restaurant. But because when he came over to Italy, I'm kind of jumping through right now, okay? When he came to Italy the first time, it was just for a visit. He didn't have any ideas if he was going to marry again or whatever it was, that he was looking for. So, but the second time he came back and fell in love with my mom. And so he promised her that he would bring her and the kids over to the United States because he wanted a family to kind of help him out with the vineyard. Now, unfortunately, when he passed away, we were all devastated because we didn't know anything. Not a thing about the farming or anything like that. And so from there on, we survived with the two people that helped us out. One was Joe Gilardini, and no, actually Joe Dusi, excuse me, Joe Dusi, and the other one was Roy Gilardini, which they were famous. I mean, they're great for us to be able to deal with. They spoke Italian. We didn't know a word of English. Yeah.
Okay, what were your siblings' names?
Okay, Maria is the oldest. Faustina, we call her Silvana. Okay. Silvana was just a little toddler, so she couldn't do anything, you know, just a baby. And Maria was there until she graduated from high school. When she graduated, she went to Santa Barbara College, and she met her husband. So she was gone pretty much the whole time after that. They got married, they moved to close to LA, and she was smart enough to be able to become a lawyer. Okay, so myself, there's only Mama and Joe Dusi and myself, we had to run the property. We did as best as we could, and yet we're here. So everything was a lot of help from a lot of different people, but I was blessed because I was taught that a piece of property is gold to us. Okay, so I was there until I graduated from high school. And then, of course, I had to go in the military. I was in there for a year and a half. I did want to go back to Italy to visit, which I was really lucky that there was some time for me to be able to spend.
Now, what was your mother's maiden name?
Mama's first maiden name was Fossati. Then after she married Martinelli, then we all, he adopted all the rest of us. So, Rina Fossati Martinelli. Okay, so.
Okay,
Okay.
very good. And next?
Okay, I'll try to be brief here, but how did we end up here?
Okay.
My mother grew up in San Diego.
You can introduce yourself.
Oh yeah, my name is Chuck Lowe. And our family got here kind of between my mother and father getting together in San Diego. My dad grew up in Long Island in New York. And back then it was kind of an agriculture area. His dad was a reporter for a New York paper. But he had always wanted, he loved animals. And there was a lot of agriculture on Long Island at the time, so he always wanted to be in ag in some way. Anyway, World War II came along and he joined the Navy, and he went in the Navy, and he never was in action because his brother was killed. But he ended up, after going to different places, he flew with PBYs, these planes that come down on the water, reconnaissance planes, and but he did mostly testing of them in the U.S. He ended up in San Diego at the end of the war, and he was right on the Tijuana border at some station where he was supposed to be, and everybody was not doing anything. They were just hanging out waiting to be discharged. So he went over to this guy's dairy that was over in the Tijuana River Valley, and the guy gave him a job, and this is my grandfather. My mother heard that there was this guy, down there that was a new guy, a new hand, kind of. But he was still in the Navy actually, but they didn't care. They were going to be mustered out, but they were just kind of waiting for it. So anyway, he came and worked there, and he wanted to work in ag. That was the reason he went there in the first place. He was very interested in the dairy industry and getting into dairy. Didn't know too much about it. That's what he wanted to do. So anyway, after the war, they got married, And they had my brother and I down in San Diego. And then when I was under 1 year old, he came up here to go to Cal Poly, and he wanted to do ag. He wanted to take courses in ag. And he did it for a while, but with 2 kids and a couple of dogs and all this, he ended up finally just kind of working dairy again. He worked for Bob Wharton in the Los Osos Valley, and in the Wharton building in downtown San Luis Obispo. He worked for him for a good long while. And then he came up and worked, who's that girl, Bonnie? Yeah, well, he worked for Ross, yeah. He worked in a couple of dairy out of Bonnie. I'm missing it, yeah. Also, maybe I'll remember it. Anyway, he ended up working for Jack Rossi, Vincent's son, or with him. And so he worked on the dairy. He milked cows. And he cut a deal with Rossi where he would take like every 3rd calf and raise the calves, and he would take every 3rd calf. And he would do it for, he would get the calf doing that job. So he got up a string of actually pretty nice Holstein cows. And he was thinking about going into the dairy business, but he saw, when he would go out and actually get the dry cows up in the hills around the dairy, he knew this one piece of property that was there in Vincent Rossi had been offered this by the guy that owned it, and he had turned it down. So my dad got in here and went and got the place. And in the meantime, he started working. He was still working on the dairy, but he was also working in night shifts at the youth authority, the school for boys, to make some real money. So he did that for a while, and he was able to buy the place. And of course,
Do you ever hear how much you paid for it?
yeah, it was like $8,000. Yeah. And he bought it, I assume about 84, 85, I mean 54, 55. And anyway, we moved onto the place. My dad was a real do-it-yourselfer, and he was going to do it all himself. He'd taken a course in farm structure, farm building construction, all that. So he decided he could build a house, and we would just, there wasn't much in the way of code back then. So he just started building the house. He had it dozed, pad dozed down, and he started building it. And he built it for years and years and years. He built it kind of around us. We kind of lived in it. And I remember the first year we moved in, it didn't even have walls, and it had part of a roof. And so I remember the first winter, my mom was really pissed off because we were all laying under, we couldn't quite get under the part of the roofing that was done. It was raining. My mom was throwing his old pea coats on us, and then she said, no, you're gonna finish it. You're gonna at least get a roof on us. And she did. He did in pretty short order. But it was a long haul. He didn't really put, the walls up for a while because he just got some old surplus tarps and put those up, and that's what's kind of so it was really kind of it wasn't that he was broke, I don't think. I think he liked it. Of course, he wasn't a rich guy, and he liked the idea of doing it himself. He liked doing a lot of things himself. And he didn't actually get into the dairy business, but he met Bruno's stepdad, Martinelli, and he told him, well, he was trying to decide what he should do with the property. And he told him, well, you should do walnuts, because walnuts don't go bad. You can keep them over for the next year. Just do walnuts. So my dad went ahead and did walnuts. And we had walnuts for a long time. And so that's what the place really was, a walnut place.
And your father's name and your mother's name?
My mother's name was Dorothy Lowe, and my father's name was Warner Lowe.
And your mother's maiden name?
It was Shelton.
Okay. And for those that are watching this video, if you want to even hear more about the Lowes, you can check out the video with Laura and Jean Lowe. They went in great detail about what they remember about how your dad built the house, as well as the saint that your mother was in putting up with your dad.
Yeah, she didn't get a break. It took a long time to get that thing built. Yeah, I mean, I was going away to college by the time they were kind of really finishing it up. And
So your family, so your brothers and sisters, who were they? Their
Well,
names?
Gene Sutton, you know, Gene and Laura Brooks, and then my brother is Bill Lowe. He lives in the Los Angeles area now. So, anyway, so I used to know Bruno pretty well. And he used to come down to my house quite a bit, and we used to go up and pick grapes
Yes,
for his mom, yeah. And I remember lugging those grape boxes around, and probably we weren't much good.
well, the thing is, if anybody came to see us, they had to put their time in to work, so we got fed.
Oh, that's funny.
That's right. So anyway, we picked grapes up at Martinelli's, and maybe I should not bring this up right now, but didn't your stepdad, didn't he do charcoal for a while, wasn't he?
No.
Oh,
Not that I know of, but I know he started the vineyard and he kept it going.
yeah.
Didn't he?
He did? I
think
thought
he
it
did.
was Dusi.
He did it.
Dusi, didn't you?
Yeah. No, Dusi did.
Benarini, he and Benarini used to do charcoal. That's what the book that Al Wilhoit
Oh.
wrote says. I don't know.
And there was that big charcoal pit, now it's called Carbon Canyon Road that goes up there. There's a big old charcoal pit when I was a kid up there.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, it was underground, burn,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there's still a lot of information that myself don't know.
Well, I'll just real quickly, Rod Hewitt's brother, Jim, did a presentation before our full general membership meeting. And I remember Jim saying that in researching his part of the program, he learned a lot about the family that he didn't know. And I remember Rod mentioning the same thing after Jim gave his presentation. And what was nice is Rod's father and mother were both in the audience, and they were able to embellish, or no, that's not the way it was. So it does happen, is that, you're learned from this. Okay?
Okay, sure, if you want to move on.
Okay, George, you're next, and if you tell us,
I'm
You're-
George Nichols, and my parents came to Templeton. Actually, my mom came to Templeton in the late 30s, early 40s to teach school, and she taught for several years, and my father was, she met my father after the war, because he was in the military. He was in Italy.
George, what was your mom's name, George?
My mom's name was Faye Nichols, or her maiden name was Heron, and my father's name was James Frederick Nichols, but he went by Fred, and that's everybody knew him by Fred. And he was after he got out of the army and he met my mom, then they were married. But my dad was always he was in the carnival business. He was a carny. He traveled all around the country and with the carnivals, and he was a concessionaire. He did, cotton candy, candy apples, and snow cones, and all that kind of stuff. And so after they were married, my mom came back to work in Templeton as a teacher, and they lived up on the old Nyberg home up near where the Wilhoits were. So that'd be used to be Paso Robles Street, now it's Crocker Street, and I don't know if that's 6th or
It's
4th Street, I guess.
Fifth. It's behind the hardware store? The house behind the hardware store?
No, the home, the Nyberg home, yeah, it was, this one street, this side of the 5th Street. What was that? Would that be 4th?
Mhm.
4th. And on the corner of 4th, and that's where I was born, or that's where they lived when I was born. I was born in Paso Robles at the War Memorial Hospital, which had just been built. So I was like the 3rd person born there. It's gone now. And as I
where's your family originally from, or your dad?
both my parents were from Oklahoma.
Okay, what part?
What part? The northwestern part. Yeah. So,
And did your dad continue, did he retire as a carny?
well,
or-
no, he did that kind of work until we came, actually, my mom had an ailment. She had a kidney infection, had lost a kidney. And so she went back to live with family back in Oklahoma, Texas and Oklahoma. And my dad was still traveling around at that time. And so then we came back to California and lived in Northern California for a while after she was better. And then we came back to Templeton in 1954. And I was 4 years old then. And my dad decided he shouldn't be traveling around all the time anymore, so he got a job at the Atascadero State Hospital. He worked there as a cook for years, yeah. But he still did some of that concessionaire work. He'd work for the JCs in the Atascadero and do that sort of thing for the JCs at the park. Every year they'd have that big 4th of July, at the park. So.
Brothers and sisters?
I had none.
No.
No brothers and sisters.
Okay.
No siblings, yeah.
So then you stayed in Templeton then from the time you were 4 until the time you graduated high school?
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, I stayed, we were here during that period of time. Yeah. We lived right behind Rod's, on 5th Street, when we came back. Lived right behind Rod's house, or Rod's grandfather's business, the hardware, Hewitt's hardware. Yeah, and my mom would always send me down there for something, and I'd go in the back door, and Rod's grandfather would be sitting there in his swivel chair. He had this big chair. He would sit there, and yeah, he was, it was great. And your dad, he would be working had that drilling rig. He would always run the drilling rig. But that was a great, I mean, they'd send me down there for coal oil, because that was one of their remedies. They had lots of, flammable materials in that back room. I understand that was supposed to be one of the first bar or something in town. Was that?
That's what the rumors were.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, they kept these big 50-gallon drums, and I'd go down there and get coal oil. Coal oil.
Yeah, that wouldn't fly today, would it?
No, it wouldn't. Not at all. No, but that was a great store.
Teach a secret.
So.
We call that the oil shed.
Huh?
'Cause-
Okay, anything else for family-wise you want to add?
Yeah, that's about all about family, I guess.
Okay. Last but not least, Rick?
Yeah, my name is Rick Dusi. My father is Dante Sylvester Dusi. My mother is Dorothy Steffi Dusi. He was born here in the Atascadero, but they lived on a ranch right across from Target there. That was the home ranch from 1925. Yeah, 1925 on. That's when he was born. He was 25. And they met in 40. And then I have a brother and I have a sister. My sister's deceased. My brother has about 5 different vineyards now. So my dad was raised on that 50 acres down there across from Target. Then he got married in 49. He met my mother. She was an Army brat. So they went all around the country. And he ended up at Camp Roberts, and that's how they met. That's some bar in Paso Robles.
Huh.
And then I was born in San Luis Obispo French Hospital, and our first house was in Paso Robles for 4 years, from 1950 to 54. And then my grandfather sold my dad 100 acres, which is still there at Main Street between Wyrick Lumber and the cemetery. And my brother and I still farm that. I have 15 acres and he has the rest. And My dad worked construction. First he started out electrician with my uncle who owned Paso Robles Electric, Vito. And he wasn't very good at that, and he still wasn't very good at it until the day he died. And then he went to oil fields for a couple of years, and then he worked 30 years for Madonna Construction. He retired in 52 from that, and then he had the ranch and worked construction. There was no money like in ag at that time. Vineyards were just a break-even thing, so he had to work for Madonna. And then as soon as he retired, then vineyard went sky high, so he did very well out of it.
So Madonna's construction been around a long time then.
Yeah, I think he started there in 53. I think Madonna started in like 52. I worked there 13 years.
Did you help build 101?
He did, yeah. They started, Madonna got every contract. They just moved quick from one piece to the next, because there was no competition at the time. Then Granite finally moved in and started taking some of the work for him.
Your siblings' names?
All right, Mike Dusi
Yes.
and Kathy Dusi.
Okay.
And she's deceased also.
Okay. And where was your father from?
His parents were from Italy.
His parents,
But
I'm sorry.
he was born here.
You're right.
Okay.
So they're from, they are also from.
Yeah, like 1919 they came over. And my grandfather did. He was a gambler also. I guess they were all gamblers back then. And he loaned out a lot of money. He got a hotel and a couple bars.
So where you grew up, is that where Benito's place was there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's still there. And then there's another, my nephew has another vineyard right behind Target. And then my niece has a winery up on 46.
So the property on Ramada is still in the family?
Yes,
Okay,
I have the front, my brother has all the rest.
okay.
That's theater now. Oh, Ramada, yeah. No, that's,
Ramada.
yeah, that one's still, my brother has that one.
Okay, your brother still has that one. Okay, good.
Okay, now that we've introduced, is there anything else?
No.
Okay. We've introduced everybody. I'm gonna have to move the camera back and forth, so if you want to say something, let me get to, go ahead and start, but start slow so I can move the camera over. But, Rick, I'm gonna, start with you because I think it's important. We're gonna talk about, growing up in Templeton. And you said something off camera about the four of you and the significance of that.
Yeah, we moved here in Templeton in 54, and so my first year of school was in Templeton in kindergarten, and Chuck was there, George was there, and I was there. And all four of us, Bruno also, when he came, was that like 6th grade, 5th grade?
Oh, I came at the age of 12, and I had fifth grade and kindergarten the first year. Then they moved me up to with these guys because I had to learn the Constitution. So that's how I progressed, but
And you didn't know any English again.
none of
No.
it.
He did not.
I faked a lot.
So we all graduated together, and so we started from kindergarten all the way through 12. The only thing I remember about Bruno, I remember a lot about Bruno, but we played basketball in high school, and our coach was Mario Purcell, who was Italian, and his mother would not let Bruno practice after school. You remember that, Bruno?
Oh,
It-
matter
So.
of fact, one time I quit.
Yeah, I know. And so I was in driver's training with Mario. I never got to drive, but, so he said, let's go up to see Mrs. Martinelli. We're gonna talk to her and see if we can get Bruno back on the team. So then we had to change our schedule, run out at 6 o'clock in the morning, we had basketball practice from then on. So Bruno could play. So he could pick grapes. I understand what Bruno says about picking grapes. That's a pain in the butt. Because ours, he had 15 acres and we had 100, and my mom took care of my uncle's place, our place, and Fortini's place. Which Fortini is right behind the old theater at the time. So
Yeah.
our grape season lasted about 2 months. All hand picked.
All hand, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
bet.
Now it still lasts 2 months because we got more things.
Yeah, I thought picking grapes was a great